welcome to Cable 14's Fireside Chat. My name is Larry Ianni, and as we count down the weeks to the end of the year, it's only appropriate that we speak with the first citizen of the City of Hamilton, Mayor Andrea Horwath. Welcome to the program, Andrea.
My pleasure, Larry, my pleasure.
Well, it's so nice to see you, and we've got half hour, and we're going to try to cover as much territory as possible. But I want to start with something that happened when you first came on, you and your council colleagues first came on, and that was the cyber attack, which I think, I know for a fact, devastated all of the programs, all of the supports, technical and otherwise, that the city had. Now, that was almost 4 years ago now, or at least 3 years ago now. Where are we with that?
It was not quite 3 years. I think it was the beginning of 2024. So it's not even 2 full years yet that happened. So because we're heading into, February of 2026.
I stand corrected.
Well, it's funny thing though, because it was such a major event and it took so much focus and attention. And I have to say I'm grateful to the staff because they put all in for a very long time, and they're still working hard. But it does feel like it was a long time ago, I think because it was such a huge event. And yeah, I mean, the first thing that we did is try to make sure that people's information was safe and that we could get services back up and running as quickly as possible. In many cases, they had to be put together old school, if you will. And so that was a big challenge as well. And so to the people of Hamilton and to the partners that we work with that we've worked with for many, many years, their patience was much appreciated. I guess if there's a silver lining to all of the upheaval is that the city's stronger and that some of our technology that should have probably been replaced some time ago and wasn't, is now getting replaced. And so our systems are in the process of becoming much more user-friendly, much more customer service oriented. And so we're not just building back to the standard, we're going above and beyond to give Hamiltonians the kind of access to services and city response that they deserve.
And that's so good to hear because, on the street, sometimes and people don't have all the information and all kinds of stuff swirls about. But one of the things that I've heard is, the bad guys wanted $18 million or something, a huge number, and we spent that much in fixing the system. But what they miss is that we've improved the system. If we had paid the money, which I'm glad, and I think most Hamiltonians are very glad we didn't do that, we would have had the old system, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot more complicated, but yeah, that's basically it. And the other thing is these guys are, they're bad actors, and you just never know if you pay whether you'll get anything that you paid for. So it's not like they're trustworthy. So that's another factor as well. So it was a tough go. What we do know is that lots of other organizations are facing the same kinds of threats, municipalities as well. And sadly, it's going to continue because it's a lucrative space for people who are in that the dark web and in that nasty kind of way of doing things that basically holding people for ransom for their own data. It's pretty.
So, Mayor, one of your strengths, I think, is the fact that you had municipal experience for a number of years as a member of City Council, and then you went to the provincial scene where you actually headed a political party. And the reality of the provincial scene and federal as well is that every person that ran for your party signed on to a set of principles, signed on to a platform that guided your work. At the municipal level, that isn't the case. Everybody runs independently. Sometimes they have programs that are in sync with what you'd like to do. Sometimes they're not in sync with what you want to do. But that's the reality of having the 15 people around the table. All of them with their own strengths, but all of them with their own agendas to some extent. How do you draw consensus from such a disparate group?
Well, first of all, I would hope that we're all there because the city is our party and our focus. So there are many, many things that we agree on. A lot of unanimous votes, a lot of votes that are, far majority in terms of approving various initiatives or actions that the city is taking directions to staff, all of that. There are some things, though, where consensus can't be reached, or where, where it's a little bit more divided in terms of the positions that councillors have or the perspectives they have. And so the most important thing, I don't think, is to come to consensus on those kinds of issues, but it is important to have a respectful, informed debate and discussion. At the end of the day, we won't reach a consensus, but that's how democracy works. And so we'll explore the issues, we'll ask the questions, we'll have the debate, and there won't be an agreement, but there will be a decision made. And that's the minority of, actually, believe it or not, that's the minority of issues. The vast majority are actually everybody's quite on the same page. But of course, those are also the issues that garner the most attention in terms of observers and media, etc. But that's okay. That's how democracy works, and that's I think that's the beauty of the municipal order of government, is that you're not. You come with your values, you come with your perspectives and your experience, and you bring that to the table on behalf of your constituents, whether those constituents are your ward residents or businesses, or whether, as the mayor, it's the entire city. I think that makes for a vibrant democracy.
Does it help to have strong mayor powers?
Well, I would say this. That's one of the big changes when you think about when I was city councillor in the past, and the difference between then and now. A lot has changed legislatively when it comes to the Municipal Act. What I would say is that the decision is not ours to determine whether or not those powers exist. The decision lays with the provincial government, where, as you know, municipalities are the children of the Ontario government, which is kind of a patronizing way of describing it, but it's the truth. And so the important thing is to be true to your values and your judgment, and to be ensuring that you're leading a path forward that has integrity. And that's how I've tried to operate.
And sometimes the parent isn't a cooperative parent, let's put it that way. Although I note that you get along very well with the Premier. I guess you have to, right? And the Premier, I think, tries to get along with all of the municipal leaders. I would hope that he does anyway. And when you disagree, it's a respectful disagreement, especially around the speed cameras that we saw disappear lately. How much does that hurt us, the fact that they're gone?
Well, it'll hurt people. It will hurt people. They have been proven to be effective in reducing speeds. In fact, our own data shows that the last year's amount of dollars revenue coming from the tickets that are issued, as of when they were taken down, was about twice as much as what we had collected this year with the cameras in the same spots. So in other words, cameras not having moved from the community safety zones they were in, a year later, there was a significant reduction in the number of tickets issued, and therefore the amount of revenue that was generated. And so obviously people were slowing down. It was a deterrent to people speeding, and
especially important as we've seen the last few weeks, some unfortunate deaths. I'm not saying that the cameras would have saved people, but they certainly cannot harm. Yeah. And that's a shame. Mayor, a lot of good things happened. I was at your speech to the Stoney Creek Chamber of Commerce, and I think I mentioned to you there that all of the litany of good news that you presented is something that maybe our residents do not readily understand, because they go on with their lives. They don't follow the news as much as they should. The media landscape has changed a little bit in terms of delivering that information. So there's lots of good things happening. But one of the things that bedevils our community and others, not only our community, is homelessness. And along with that are people who are living rough. The encampments issue that has come up time and again. Where are we in making progress around those issues?
Well, I would say that we as a city are making progress in terms of our capacity. The challenge we have is that the situation is worsening and not getting better writ large across the province, our city, other municipalities, the province, and the country. And as we head into winter, it's very worrisome. It is also the case that we're the only province that is responsible for the provision of affordable housing. Other provinces are in a situation where the province takes that over. It's their responsibility. For us,
as they used to at one time.
As they used to at one time. But municipalities carrying that burden is too hard in terms of the burden that the taxpayer has to carry. So we try to balance. We try to lead with a housing first approach, with a sense of responsibility and an acknowledgement that people need help and support, while at the same time acknowledging and trying to balance the costs against the capacity for the local taxpayers, but also the necessity to have public spaces that everybody is able to utilize. So we had the protocols, if you recall. There were some real challenges around what was happening in our parks. It became clear that that solution wasn't working, and so we, as you know, we built the temporary shelter that is at Tiffany Barton. We've increased our number of affordable housing and supportive housing units significantly. We've over doubled the number of shelter spaces, and so we've done everything that we possibly can. The challenge becomes, of course, if the need keeps growing, and our capacity to meet that need has now, I believe, hit its highest level. I mean, we simply can't keep going as we have been. We just can't afford it. Then where's the solution? And that's why I say, we really have to get the province and the federal government to really engage more, not only on the housing, whether it's affordable housing, supportive housing, transitional housing, lots of jargon, but it's basically a continuum of people who are in the worst space and really need to transition off the streets, and people who can live on their own but need some support to do that, and people who is only income, they need affordable. Long story short, we can't provide that supply on any level alone. We need the feds in the province to be there with us, and I'm hopeful that we will see this moment in time with the situation we're facing economically, where people are really having a hard time, affordability crisis, and also a housing crisis, that those other orders of government will use this moment in time to really invest.
And the federal government just passed a budget, and one of their priorities is more housing. Mm-hmm. Are we in line for any support there, or is it too early to
absolutely.
know?
No, absolutely. And in fact, they announced, and they came to make that announcement here in Hamilton. Already they've announced a significant investment in a YMCA cooperative housing project that is going to be undertaken in the downtown. We have a number of our partner providers like Kiwanis, like Indwell, like the Good Shepherd, and others who are receiving program funding as well. I've been on more sites, either doing sod turnings or ribbon cutting for various kinds of affordable and supportive housing in the last, I would say, couple of months than I have since I got here as mayor, and that we've seen in a long time. So yes, we are getting some funding, we're getting some support. The scale and the speed at which that can happen is going to leave us in a bit of the same situation as most other municipalities, in that it's not fast enough and it's not enough. But we are seeing some response.
And that's good news. That's good to hear. Along with the need for more housing of all types, one of the things that I hear about and I see with my own eyes whenever I come to City Hall, and I'm there sometimes, still. The folks, the safe injection sites.
Sure.
And there's one right next to City Hall. And I bleed for the poor folks that I see on the street that are in desperate need of help, not only in terms of housing, and some of them, maybe all of them, are living out on the streets, but certainly in terms of intervention around their addiction issues. Where are we with that?
Well, you may know that the province has indicated that they are not allowed to that municipalities are not allowed to operate those sites anymore. The site you're referring to that still operates is a federal program, and so wasn't captured in that in that new requirement of the province to shut down those sites and replace them with something called the Heart Hub, which is supposed to create a broader amount of supports. So it's to try to help people to successfully give up their addictions or get the supports they need to become clean and not use anymore, including residential support. So that, because a big thing, of course, that happens is people go back to where they were before, and then they just fall back into the addiction, right? But that is not up and running fully yet, and so there's a gap. And one of the things that we're seeing at the same time is increased poison drug supply, and so there are lots of complications. What I can say, really, really straightforward, the municipality is not equipped to address this particular piece. Mental health, addictions, chronic homelessness, we don't have
poverty.
The capacity. Deepening and like very deepened poverty. The levels of poverty that people are facing right now, off the charts. Income is not great. The cost of everyday life is through the roof. People are losing their rental units. They're losing their housing, and there's no other place for them to go. So we talk about a housing crisis, and so in the best case scenario, you are able to find a new place if you lose your housing for one reason or another. Very few people get the best case scenario. The housing's too expensive, whether it's rental, home ownership is out of reach. Young people are becoming, very concerned about their own futures because they don't see a path into the housing market. And as I said, the rents are really unaffordable. Now, some people would say all those things are coming down. Yes, they're starting to come down, but they're not coming down proportionately to affordability.
So, and those are all huge challenges. And we've always had challenges, but we've also got lots of opportunities in the city of Hamilton. And so I want to talk a little bit about that as well. When I was in your chair 20 years ago now, my God, where's time gone? I still have the same haircut, so let's not begrudge
that. We won't talk about that.
But nevertheless, I would have died to see one or two cranes in the downtown. Now, you see them everywhere, and not just the downtown, all over the city. So I know the economy is struggling now, and the housing market, the condo market, and so on, isn't what it was even a year ago. But still, the momentum is there.
Yes.
How are we doing with development and the downtown redevelopment as well?
Well, we're doing very well. In fact, this year we had we reached $2 billion in building permit issuance far in advance of what we ever have before, ever. So that shows something. It's not just building permit issuance for residential, though. It's for commercial industrial as well. And you would know how important that is in terms of our tax base, because if you don't have a lot of commercial or industrial taxes coming in, then the residential, everyday homeowners, have to carry the burden of the budget, and so having more of those investments is important as well. But we do see the cranes, and some of them are legacy cranes, so there is a shift. The condo market is reducing, but we still hear of new projects that are being considered and that are on the horizon. I don't know if you know, there was a bakery on John Street that just had an article, 100%, Pana del Sol, and so they're talking about what they might do with their property going forward. So yes, we're in a moment in terms of what the housing stock is that's needed is going to be, but we still have builders wanting to build and looking forward to those opportunities. But we also have other things happening in terms of economic development. So when we talk about our downtown, John Street North, Pana del Sol is one example, but you see cranes, as you've mentioned, in other parts of the city, which is fantastic. Significant amount of affordable housing is being built by those partners, by Kiwanis, etc. But also we have the kinds of investments that we've seen with, for example, the TD Coliseum. $300 million is nothing to sneeze at, and if you have been there yet, you'll know it knocks your socks off. It's not even a renovation. It's a complete rebirth of this facility and a switch in terms of its priority. So the concerts, the shows, those kinds of things, but also sports. And so you'll see more coming in that regard. And that spurs on other types of confidence as well. So we have hotels that have gone up and more that are on the docket to be built. We have a thriving culinary scene already in the downtown. It's just expanding. Well, we have Maddie Matheson coming into the arena, which is going to be great, to the TD Coliseum. But that's not something that's causing concern with the other restaurants and the mom and pops, if you will. They're happy because it's becoming an ecosystem of amazing dining opportunity.
Of course they're happy, and we frequent. I mean, my wife and I, even though we live in Stony Creek, we come downtown at least 3 times a week.
Happy to hear
We have our favorite coffee shop, we have our favorite pizza joint, we have some of our favorite restaurants, and I have friends who used to go to Toronto to be entertained or to dine. Now they come to Hamilton. They have come to Hamilton because the scene is there, the restaurant scene is there, and the more the merrier, because if one draws, people come to that one and they see others. Tomorrow they'll go to the others as well. Exactly. So I think that's great news. Just a last point about development. Driving down James Street, very pleased to see that Jamesville is progressing. The eyesore is gone, and hopefully at some point we'll see some construction there. Anything you can say about that very quickly?
I would say this. I stay very closely in touch with the Minister of Housing of Ontario. We're looking forward to them coming forward with the necessary paperwork, if you will, which is called an MZO, to move that project forward. So I have every confidence that's coming, but I don't have an exact date yet. But they have been great. And so this goes back to the conversation about working with the provincial government. One of the things that has been really important to me is making sure that those relationships that I built, and the Premier's famous for saying it, that we're best friends now, and he'd rather have me working with me as a mayor than yelling at him at Queen's Park. He doesn't say it that way. But they have been fantastic. I mean, when it comes to municipal projects, economic development and things of that nature, and they've put some investments into our hospitals and things like that, there are places where they've really done some great work, and I'm going to continue to leverage the relationships that I built because they've all been very, very positive. Some of those members, I've members of provincial parliament in the government caucus right now in the cabinet are people that I served with. I served with them in opposition when the Liberals were in government. So the relationships are long-standing, and I'm using those relationships to bring opportunity to our city. And I'm going to continue to do that. And it's not all that different with the federal government, especially with Steel City facing the headwinds we're facing with the tariffs, right? And I've been very well received by the federal ministers, have great relationships with them, and working hard to save jobs in our city. And had some success already, which you probably know, at the Hamilton Port Authority with a biodiesel plant that we were able to save, working with HOPA, with Port Authority people, and the federal government, and we are going to continue to do that kind of work. The airport's another great story, if you want to talk about great stories. That lease took way too long. We finally got it over it's not really a lease, it's an operating agreement pretty much, right? Because we own the property and they operate it. Vantage Group operates it with Tradeport International. And so that was $400 million agreement that includes all kinds of new changes to the airport, and that brought investment. Porter Airlines is there. There's all kinds of great things happening.
Actually, really looking forward to seeing more travelers at our airport as well. So that's all good news. And just a quick comment on the arena. I remember when, I think it was Councillor Marula who first raised it, and now it's a reality. And I'm looking forward to go and see it on the inside. I wish I could have afforded the Paul McCartney tickets, but nevertheless, I'll have my chance. Listen, we're down to our last few minutes, and I know that the Christmas season is coming up. And as mayor of the city and as the first citizen of the city, I'm sure you have a message for the residents. What makes you hopeful for this Christmas season and for 2026?
Well, I would say, first of all, I do want to say that I've always expressed my gratitude towards the former council for what they brought in terms of that vision, and I'm proud to have been able to be a part of that. I saw Mayor Fred recently at the TD Coliseum, which was lovely. Having said that, my hope for the future is that for the next year going forward, is that we continue to be a compassionate community, notwithstanding some of the challenges that we face, while in the meantime making sure that we are looking to the future with excitement. and recognizing the opportunity that's ahead of us. Well, we have some challenges, there's no doubt. We also have a city that's on the move, and that is going to bring a lot of opportunity, but also it's going to bring back some vibrancy that we haven't seen in a long time. So I would say over the season, as always, stay close to one another, find time to find some joy, to support one another, to have some peace, and regardless of what celebration you're undertaking, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. I mean, there's a lot of different things that people celebrate, the Yule. It really is about being together with your loved ones and making sure that we are cognizant of and supporting as much as we can those who are less fortunate.
Well, that's a great message, and I think one that will be heartfelt by the residents of this city. Are you doing any special events as a community? I remember in the past there used to be some New Year's Eve functions. I know that you probably will have a levee coming up as well.
Sure, we're going to be doing a levee. I don't have the dates with me, but we are definitely going to be doing a levee. It's usually in the first couple of weeks of January, but we also kind of pair that up with the Order of Hamilton event where we bestow upon volunteers in our community the acknowledgement of the work that they've done.
And of course, will the city shut down for the Christmas period? Is there a period where the doors are locked and people are enjoying themselves, or do we go right through? I mean, I'm sure all the emergency...
Yes, I was going to say, I believe that the last kind of official office time at the city is Christmas Eve. And then, yes, all of the emergency services will be available. The 546 city line will be available, but the everyday operations are a lot quieter, let's put it that way.
Well, Mayor, thank you very much. Good luck in 2026, and thank you for all you do for the City of Hamilton, you and your council colleagues.
Appreciate that.
And thank you for watching. This has been Fireside Chat with Mayor Andrea Horwath. I'd like to wish you a very safe and serene Christmas holiday as well. Happy Hanukkah, and happy any other religion that you follow during these times, and hope you enjoy yourself with your family. Thanks for watching.